Hey guys! Today is National Donut Day. So for this video, we're making a whole lot of donut treats. There's donut pops, which are a delicious twist on cake pops, caramel chocolate apples that are stacked with endless amounts of sweetness, Dunkin Cakesicles because we can't have donuts without coffee, and fresh baked donuts. There's nothing better than a classic box of donuts just like Dunkin', except they're baked and so easy to make. All of these ideas are simple DIYs for a dessert table at any donut-themed party or event. So let's go to the donut shop and create something magical! We're starting off with these donut pops that are made from a delicious baked donut that is dipped on a stick. This method is perfect for you if you just donut like traditional cake pops, whether it be rolling them or the texture and taste of the cake pop dough. For this super easy recipe, first I'm sifting in 3/4 cup of granulated sugar along with the remaining dry ingredients, which are 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, don't forget that, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then sift it all up. Sifting is important to remove all the clumps and achieve a light texture for your donuts. Last, I'm pouring in 2 lightly beaten eggs with 3/4 cup of buttermilk and 2 tablespoons of melted butter, giving that a mix until combined. The reason I don't recommend mixing up some store-bought cake mix and putting the batter into a donut pan is that it's more likely to slide down your stick. The cake is more fluffy and airy when it's not made into the form of that Play-Doh-like cake pop consistency, but a baked donut is firm enough to support the donut shape on the stick. I will link all the pans in this video down below. My favorite size for the donut pops was this silicone donut muffin pan from Amazon, but whatever pan you use, always spray it down with some non-stick. Once your pan is ready, the easiest way to add the batter is to fill each cavity with a piping bag about 2/3 full. I don't like to overfill to prevent overflowing, which can create a thick rim around the bottom of the donut. Pop them into bake for 10 to 12 minutes at 350 degrees or until a toothpick comes out clean. When the donuts have cooled, go ahead and remove them from the pan. As you can see, I slightly overfilled these. If the middle closed up like mine, a quick fix is to cut through the center with a small circle cookie cutter like it never happened. Now it is time to attach our donuts to the lollipop sticks to form a secure seal just like you would on a cake pop. Quickly dip the end of your stick into the chocolate melt and tap off the excess, then insert straight across as far as you can go without poking through the top. The key is not to apply too much chocolate, just enough to act as a glue, and for your sticks not to be too thick in diameter so that it doesn't make a large hole. These are 6-inch lollipop sticks from Party City. No worries about seeing the stick, we are going to cover it up to look smooth and seamless. For this step, I'm using fondant. Normally, if you were shaping a typical donut cake pop, you would press the middle with a ball tool, but for this technique, I rolled a small piece of fondant and cut circles with a small cookie cutter. I rub cornstarch on my fingers so the fondant doesn't stick, and press into the center of the donut to make an impression. Just avoid pressing with your nails so the fondant doesn't rip. The fondant layer forms a smooth and sculpted foundation for dipping into the chocolate. As for dipping, I have Merkin's brand chocolate melts. To mix the donut colored chocolate, I added a combination of yellow and orange Chef Master candy coloring to the white Merkins, and you want to thin out your chocolate to a fluid dipping consistency with your thinning agent of choice. Guys, get ready to dip. With the pop upside down, quickly dip in and out. Gently shake off the excess by swirling around in a circle. If one layer is too sheer, go back in for another coat before the chocolate sets. When dipping, the chocolate should be no higher than 90 degrees from Merkins to prevent white spots when the chocolate dries. If you are in need of more help with achieving the right dipping consistency for your chocolate dip treats, you'll definitely want to watch my chocolate basics video to learn more information. Another game-changing tip is to dip completely straight upside down and avoid dipping on an angle. I know it seems scary to dip completely upside down, but it makes a difference. When you finish by twisting the chocolate onto the back, you are left with a big prominent bump when dipped on an angle. These donut pops are really starting to come together. I also dipped a few into Merkin's milk chocolate for a classic chocolate donut design. And guys, it's decorating time! Do not forget the sprinkles! Now for the frosting, outline the center circle with a looser consistency chocolate in a squeeze bottle and pipe a scalloped squiggly line pattern around the outside, quickly filling everything in for a seamless look, and sprinkle on some rainbow jimmies. These great value rainbow jimmies from Walmart are one of my favorites. I can't stress enough to do this quickly or the chocolate can dry clumpy and uneven, and that's not how we want our donut frosting to look. Another awesome Dunkin' flavor, even though it's a throwback, was their Oreo Donut. For the white frosting, I skipped the scallops and made the edge more simple and round instead, and topped it off with crushed Oreos. For this last design, I piped white on the chocolate donuts with a rounder edge for a classic chocolate donut with vanilla glaze. Apply enough pressure without letting the frosting drip off the edge unless that's the look you're going for. Finish it off by piping a zigzag drizzle with a thicker consistency chocolate. This is a textured piping bag with a tiny corner snipped off. I chose to leave the whole portion open by stopping and continuing on the other side. Another cute design idea was a hot pink drizzle on a chocolate frosted donut. And we have some fabulous mini donut pops for a small bite of something sweet. The next treat we are making are these colorful drip caramel chocolate apples piled high with a stack of donuts. This is the easiest and best way to make caramel apples, no fail, with only 2 ingredients. This is the same Holy Grail recipe in my free caramel apple class. It's a flawless, shiny base for any chocolate decorations or flavor combinations. The best part about this method is there's no need to boil the apples to remove the wax, just a simple wash and dry, and insert your wooden candy apple sticks with the mallets. I dressed them up with these gold metallic straw covers. I prefer sliding them on before dipping in the caramel instead of after, so they fit snugly on the sticks without poking the caramel. To ensure the straw covers don't slide around when dipping, hammer with the mallet so the straw and stick line up, and check by gently twisting your stick. To make the caramel, you'll need la lechera dulce de leche and heavy cream. La lechera is a thick dulce de leche. Do not substitute for another brand or the results will be different. So step 1 is make sure you pick up the right product at the store. For the complete recipe and process, it is key to watch the whole video to master the basics of smoothly dipped, perfect, bubble-free apples. There's lots of important details, so I prepared mine ahead of time so that this video isn't too long for you to watch. It is key to prepare this at the right temperature without burning, and to dip at the right temperature so that the caramel is not too thick to dip the apples. Temperature is everything with this. It's essential to check with an infrared thermometer. This needs to be exact without guessing for those amazing results. It's a worthwhile investment for under $20. I use it all the time for chocolate as well. I simply swirl the apple in the caramel while angling my pot and shake off the excess, then wipe the bottom on the rim of the pot. This caramel is a softer set, so if you left a bigger pool of caramel on the bottom, no worries, it will come right off when removing the apples from the parchment paper later on. If you follow all the instructions from that tutorial, you will love making caramel apples this way. The softer set caramel stays slightly tacky for about 3 hours, but you can gently twist them off the parchment after waiting 15 minutes. Let's dip them in chocolate. I dip straight into a deep deli container all the way up. Usually I like to dip 3/4 of the way to create the beautiful striped effect, but I chose to dip all the way up since I'm adding the chocolate drips and donuts on top. In the other video, I show how I properly melt and thin my chocolate. For apples, they need to be dipped at a low enough temperature to avoid elephant skin and enough thinning agent for a fluid dipping consistency. I don't know about you, but the chocolate drips make this apple so fun and unique. I squeeze for a few seconds with a plastic squeeze bottle and move across without lifting the tip off the apple. You can guide the tip down as you squeeze and vary the lengths of the drips by squeezing longer or shorter. This is an example of when the chocolate is way too loose. It runs down the apple without stopping and there's almost no variation in length. To prevent this, the consistency should be somewhere in the middle so that it's fluid enough to flow, but not as loose as a dipping consistency. For more control and a defined shape, I put the chocolate into a plastic squeeze bottle. To switch up the look, I made some pink and orange apples to go along with the colors of the Dunkin Donuts theme, as well as a yellowish nude color to look like a donut with dripping frosting. It is completely optional to add sprinkles. I find it really takes everything to another level. I stick them on with corn syrup after the drips have dried. It is a lot of time and work to individually place each sprinkle, but it's so worth it. Place a dot of corn syrup where you want to arrange the sprinkle and pick it up with a tweezer. It may slide around at first, but it will stay. Less is more with the corn syrup though. The sprinkle will slide even more if you add too much. Since this sprinkle process did take a lot of time, let's make them magically appear. The fun continues with the decorating. I'm using the same baked donut recipe from before except a larger pan. This is the Chicago metallic donut pan. Give it a tap to settle the batter and bake for 10 to 12 minutes at 350 degrees. The donuts are all ready to come out of the oven. Once they have cooled, of course you can choose to glaze them with an actual glaze recipe, but the reason I chose to dip them in chocolate is because it lasts longer without drying out and the colors don't fade as quickly. Twist your donut into a shallow dipping container and lift it up while shimmying the extra back in. I usually dip my Rice Krispie treats with this same method to save chocolate. It creates a beautiful, smoothly dipped canvas, and sprinkle on your toppings while the chocolate is still wet. I just had to make another Oreo donut. After dipping and the white chocolate melts, be careful with dropping the larger Oreo pieces on. They are heavy and can fall or smudge the coating. It is best to press them on to ensure that the crumbs stick. You may have noticed some of these donuts are chocolate. I don't recommend doing this the same way I did. It was Pillsbury chocolate cake mix in the donut pan, and the crumbs are so much more delicate than an actual baked donut, like I mentioned before. And guys, if you are enjoying so far, thank you for stopping by my channel. Make sure you join the party and subscribe to create something magical with me every time I upload, and click that bell to receive all notifications. Now we have our classic strawberry and chocolate frosted donuts from Dunkin. I also threw in a Simpsons donut dipped in a hot pink color because Homer wanted some extra donuts for National Donut Day. On a plain frosted donut, instead of sprinkles, I piped a zigzag drizzle. Make sure the hole in your bag isn't too big or the lines will end up too thick. That's a whole lot of donuts. There's some going in the donut box and the rest for stacking on the apple. We can get stacking right after the chocolate is set. Slide 2 of them right through the stick in whichever order you want. The stacking is another reason why I prefer dipping the donuts in chocolate. If you choose to glaze them, this part can get messy. Just like magic, the donuts appeared in the Dunkin Donuts box. They look so yummy and cute, but there's gotta be coffee to go along with the donuts. These Dunkin Cup Cakesicles aren't just any Cakesicles. Instead of the typical Cakesicle dough, we're switching it up and making the filling out of donuts. These are Little Debbie mini glazed donuts. They actually make a very smooth dough. Now go ahead and crumble it up, kneading it together like a dough to work everything in there with no more crumbs. It doesn't get any easier than that. Not bad, Little Debbie. In a mini Cakesicle mold, create the first layer with a spoonful of chocolate. You can pick up the mold and swirl the chocolate around or coat the cavity with a brush. In my last Cakesicle tutorial, I showed keeping this little slot open to prevent cracks and fill that empty area with chocolate later on. In that Cakesicle video, I told you guys that using the store-bought snack cakes doesn't give you that many Cakesicles compared to making your own cake. That was for the larger size Cakesicles. For the minis, you're able to make a lot more Cakesicles out of that. Slip the sticks in as a placeholder, but not all the way yet, and chill the first layer for 10 minutes. For the second layer, we're reinforcing all the edges wherever there's cracks or any spots that the chocolate shell is too sheer. When working by the stick, brush some chocolate around it, but not directly on top of the stick. Pop them in the fridge for another 10 minutes and it's time to add the donuts. Grab a small piece of dough and shape with your hands so it's easier to mold. Tightly pack into the cavity and smooth it out. If it's overflowing, remove any excess dough if necessary. Then push in the stick and carve out a small splat, just enough to fill up with chocolate. Finish sharpening the edge by pushing the dough with a popsicle stick. After all the cavities are filled, go back in with more chocolate to fill in the back by pushing it around with a spoon and scrape with a small icing scraper to flatten the surface. One last round of 10 minutes and they are all ready to remove from the mold and decorate. Gently peel the silicone away from the Cakesicle and push the stick through the slot to remove. I just love how we're transforming these mini Cakesicles into a cup of coffee. I found this mini breakfast cookie cutter set from Michael's craft store. There's a little coffee cup in there. I'm cutting into my rolled fondant, slicing the top lid with a knife, then racking back and forth across the middle to make a marking detail for the lid. Right after that, we're flipping the Cakesicle upside down and applying the fondant with a thin layer of edible adhesive. Brush a small amount along the top section and center the lid on the edge. We saved the best part for last. These edible images are the Dunkin Donuts logo and a 1-inch round cake pop size. They are from the Edible Accents shop on Etsy. Very fast shipping. Attach them to the middle of the cup with edible adhesive. I hope you guys enjoyed making these Dunkin Donuts inspired treats with me, and it gave you some ideas for a donut themed party. Don't forget, it's National Donut Day. Get yourself a free donut at Dunkin. It's Christina here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.